In 1998, a night that Meghan Markle hoped no one would ever remember unfolded in a way that would shape the rest of her life. Before the tiaras, before the interviews, and long before the palace walls, there was a story so dark it was buried under silence and money. A story her sister Samantha Markle says the world was never meant to hear. It began at Northwestern University inside a sorority house, where laughter turned to chaos, and one careless prank became a scandal that could have ended everything. For decades, it stayed hidden. No police records, no statements, just whispers of what really happened that night. But Samantha says that secret was never erased, it was covered. And once you hear what she's finally revealing, you'll understand why Meghan Markle spent her whole life running from 1998. It started long before the palaces, the cameras, or the fairy tale wedding. Meghan Markle wasn't a duchess then. She was just another college girl at Northwestern University, balancing books, parties, and ambition. But one night, inside the walls of her sorority house, everything changed. What was meant to be a harmless prank went terribly wrong. The story whispered among former students always begins the same way. A tube of eyelash glue switched out with super glue. No one knows why she did it. Maybe a joke gone too far. Maybe rivalry or revenge. But when the other girl tried to use it, her eyelids sealed shut instantly. Screams filled the room as the prank turned into a nightmare. By the time help arrived, the girl was being rushed to the hospital. Some versions say she temporarily lost her sight. Others claim her parents threatened to sue. Either way, the laughter that night turned into panic, and the name everyone whispered about the next morning was Meghan Markle. The campus went quiet. What happened wasn't just gossip anymore. It was a scandal that could end someone's future before it even began. Then, just as the rumors reached their peak, Meghan disappeared. No one saw her in class. No dorm sightings. No one knew if she'd dropped out, been suspended, or told to leave quietly. It was as if she'd been erased from campus overnight. Some said she was suspended for a semester. Others swore she'd been expelled but allowed to come back later. And a few believed she'd only been told to lay low until the dust settled. But everyone agreed that she was gone, and that the incident had something to do with it. Weeks passed. Professors avoided the topic, students whispered in corners, and the girl who'd been hurt transferred schools. Meghan's name slowly faded from the gossip cycle. But one thing stuck in people's minds: she never came back the same. When she finally resurfaced months later, it wasn't on campus. It was in a different world entirely. She talked about yacht trips, glamorous dinners, and people with money and influence, a world far away from classrooms and dorm rooms. It didn't sound like the life of a struggling student. It sounded like she'd stepped into someone else's story. Behind the scenes, one man was said to be working quietly to make everything disappear: her father, Thomas Markle. He wasn't just a parent anymore. He was the fixer. According to whispers from that time, Thomas allegedly paid over $200,000 to hush the matter, a private agreement that would protect Meghan's record and reputation. He had connections, he had money, and most of all, he had a reason: to protect his daughter's future. The story spread among alumni groups for years that after the incident, Meghan was told to stay away until the victim graduated, that she never really finished her degree, and that her father's silence bought her a clean slate. But even after the scandal was buried, something about Meghan changed. She'd seen what power could do, not just the power of money, but the power of silence. When people stop asking questions, stories fade. And when stories fade, the truth becomes whatever you say it is. That was the moment Meghan Markle stopped being just a college girl. It was the birth of something else. A woman who understood that the truth can be bent, buried, or replaced. That was the day Meghan Markle stopped being a student and started becoming a story. After the scandal, Northwestern University became just a ghost town memory for Meghan. She didn't walk the halls again, didn't sit in classrooms, and didn't show up for finals. Instead, she vanished. And when she reappeared, she wasn't the same girl. People who met her later said she'd changed completely. She talked about yachts in the Mediterranean, champagne dinners, and men who spoke in accents from places she'd never studied. No one really knew how she got there or who brought her into that world. Some said she was hired for high-end social events. Others claimed she was networking among the rich, blending in as if she belonged. Whatever it was, those missing months turned into a finishing school in reinvention. While other students were chasing credits, Meghan was learning something different: how to walk into a room and make it believe in her. By the time she returned to the public eye, she'd learned the rules that would shape her future: look perfect, say little, and always control the story. That missing semester wasn't just a gap on her transcript. It was the birthplace of the persona that would one day charm the world. When Meghan began talking again about her academic life, everything sounded polished, almost too polished. She told people she had graduated with 2 majors, theater and international relations. She spoke about her time at the U.S. Embassy in Argentina, how she'd learned fluent Spanish in just 5 weeks. It was the kind of story that sparkled, the type that makes you lean in and say, wow. But when people checked, none of it really lined up. Northwestern didn't offer that dual degree. The embassy internship was real, but minor, filing papers and answering phones, not diplomatic work. And the Spanish fluency? Experts said that level was impossible in such a short time. Then came the photographs, the supposed proof of her graduation. But even they looked strange. The robes were plain black instead of Northwestern's purple and black. No classmates around, no campus landmarks, just Meghan smiling at a camera that couldn't explain where she really was. The more you looked, the more it felt like a story built for belief, not for truth. And that's when the illusion began to harden. When invention started looking like fact, piece by piece, Meghan constructed a background that was almost untouchable. To question it felt rude, even cruel. And that's how the best illusions work, not by hiding the truth, but by making people afraid to ask. Years later, that carefully built version of Meghan's life found its way onto the grandest stage on earth, Buckingham Palace. When her royal biography was published, every detail was there in gold. The dual degree, the embassy work, the language fluency, the global education. It wasn't just repeated, it was certified. The British monarchy itself had become the storyteller. No one at the palace seemed to question the inconsistencies. Why would they? Meghan wasn't just a new royal. She was a modern fairy tale, educated, accomplished, worldly. She was everything they wanted the monarchy to look like. And so, without verifying a thing, they printed her version as fact. For years, that royal biography stood as her official truth. Children memorized it, magazines reprinted it, and fans used it as proof that she was more than an actress. She was a symbol.